You ever wonder why two countries separated by more than 3,000 miles have remained so closely connected for over a century? Why is it that whenever a major global crisis unfolds, the United Kingdom and the United States are often standing side by side? Is it simply because they share the same language? Or is there a much deeper story that has shaped the modern world? The answer lies in something historians, politicians, and world leaders have called the special relationship. But here's the fascinating part: it wasn't always special. In fact, the United States was born after fighting a bitter war against Britain. The two nations were once enemies on the battlefield. Today, they are among the world's closest allies. So how did this incredible transformation happen? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this relationship has influenced world wars, defeated dictatorships, shaped global politics, and continues to affect millions of lives across the world today. Let's begin our journey. To understand the special relationship, we have to travel back more than 400 years. During the early 17th century, Britain established colonies along the eastern coast of North America. Thousands of settlers crossed the Atlantic Ocean in search of opportunity, religious freedom, and a better future. Over time, these colonies grew into prosperous communities. They spoke English, followed British traditions, and remained loyal to the British Crown. For many years, Britain considered these colonies an important part of its empire. They provided valuable resources, expanded trade, and strengthened Britain's influence across the Atlantic. But as the colonies grew wealthier and more confident, tensions began to rise. The British government introduced new taxes to help pay for wars fought in Europe. The colonists believed these taxes were unfair because they had no representatives in the British Parliament. Their famous slogan became, "No taxation without representation." What started as political disagreement soon became something much bigger. In 1775, fighting broke out between British forces and the American colonists. 1 year later, on July 4, 1776, the colonies declared their independence, creating what would become the United States of America. After years of difficult fighting, Britain accepted defeat in 1783 through the Treaty of Paris. The United States became an independent nation. At this point, no one could have imagined that these former enemies would one day become the closest allies in modern history. Instead, distrust remained for decades. The young United States wanted to prove that it could survive without British control, while Britain focused on protecting its vast global empire. Relations became tense once again during the War of 1812. Although neither side achieved a decisive victory, the conflict reminded both countries that military confrontation was costly and uncertain. But something important happened after this war. Rather than continuing endless conflict, both nations slowly realized that cooperation offered greater benefits than rivalry. As the 19th century progressed, trade between Britain and America expanded rapidly. Ships crossed the Atlantic carrying goods, ideas, and people. Millions of immigrants traveled between Europe and America, creating family connections that crossed national borders. The English language remained a powerful bond. Writers, scientists, inventors, and business leaders exchanged ideas that helped shape both societies. At the same time, both countries gradually embraced democratic institutions, respect for the rule of law, and representative government. These shared values became an invisible bridge connecting London and Washington. Although disagreements still occurred, they increasingly preferred diplomacy over war. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Factories, railways, steamships, and new inventions transformed both Britain and America into economic powerhouses. Britain became the world's leading industrial nation during much of the 19th century. Meanwhile, the United States experienced extraordinary economic growth. Cities expanded rapidly. Railroads connected vast distances. Businesses flourished. Innovation accelerated at an incredible pace. Rather than seeing each other only as competitors, the two countries increasingly became major trading partners. Commerce created mutual interests. Prosperity encouraged cooperation, and shared success slowly replaced old hostility. By the late 19th century, the British Empire stretched across continents, while the United States was emerging as a powerful nation in its own right. Even though Britain remained the world's dominant empire, many leaders recognized that America's economic strength and growing population would eventually make it one of the most influential countries on Earth. History was beginning to change direction. Then another factor strengthened the connection even further: culture. Books written by British authors became popular in America. American inventions spread throughout Britain. Newspapers reported stories from both sides of the Atlantic. Universities exchanged scholars. Businesses invested across borders. Families maintained relationships despite the ocean separating them. The two societies were becoming increasingly familiar with one another. But friendship alone does not create a special relationship. True partnerships are tested during moments of crisis. And the 20th century was about to bring the greatest challenges humanity had ever faced. Before those global conflicts arrived, one important event demonstrated that relations had improved dramatically. In 1895, Britain and the United States faced a serious disagreement over a border dispute involving Venezuela. Many feared that tensions could escalate into military conflict. Instead, both governments chose peaceful negotiation. This decision sent a powerful message. The age of war between Britain and America was ending. The age of cooperation was beginning. Neither country knew it yet, but within just 2 decades, the world would be plunged into the First World War. That conflict would forever transform their relationship. Britain would find itself fighting for survival. The United States would eventually join the war. Their cooperation during this period would lay the foundations for an alliance that would later defeat Nazi Germany, confront the Soviet Union during the Cold War, and continue shaping international politics into the 21st century. The story of the special relationship was no longer about a former colony and its old ruler. It was becoming the story of two nations whose combined influence would shape the future of the modern world. And this was only the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore how 2 devastating world wars turned Britain and America into inseparable allies, why Winston Churchill coined the phrase, the special relationship, and how this alliance helped reshape global history forever. As the 19th century came to an end, the relationship between Britain and the United States had changed dramatically. The old memories of revolution and conflict had not disappeared, but they were no longer defining the future. Instead, both nations found themselves entering a new century filled with opportunities, challenges, and growing international responsibilities. Neither country could predict that the world was about to experience one of the darkest periods in human history. In 1914, Europe exploded into war. A single assassination in Sarajevo triggered a chain reaction that pulled major powers into what became known as the First World War. Britain entered the conflict immediately to defend Belgium and honour its alliances. Millions of British soldiers were sent to battlefields across France and Belgium, where they faced machine guns, poison gas, and trench warfare unlike anything the world had ever seen. Across the Atlantic, however, the United States chose to remain neutral. Many Americans believed the war was a European problem. President Woodrow Wilson argued that America should avoid becoming involved in foreign conflicts. The nation continued trading with both sides while hoping peace could somehow be restored. But neutrality became increasingly difficult. German submarines began attacking ships crossing the Atlantic. In 1915, the sinking of the British passenger ship Lusitania shocked the world. Nearly first 200 people lost their lives, including 128 Americans. Public opinion in the United States slowly began to change. Then came another turning point. British intelligence intercepted a secret message known as the Zimmermann telegram. Germany had proposed an alliance with Mexico, encouraging it to attack the United States if America entered the war. When Americans learned about the telegram, anger spread across the country. In April 1917, President Wilson asked Congress to declare war on Germany. The United States had entered the First World War. Although American forces needed time to prepare, their arrival brought fresh energy, new resources, and enormous industrial power to the Allied cause. American factories supplied weapons, food, trucks, and equipment on a massive scale. British and American soldiers fought side by side. For the first time in history, the two nations were not enemies on opposite sides of the battlefield. They were partners. In November 1918, the war finally ended. The victory came at a terrible cost. More than 16 million people had lost their lives, and Europe lay devastated. The partnership between Britain and America had proved successful, but peace would not last. The years after the First World War were marked by economic instability, political extremism, and growing resentment in several countries. One nation, Germany, faced severe economic hardship after the Treaty of Versailles. Out of this crisis emerged Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. By the late 1930s, Hitler had begun expanding German territory, ignoring international agreements, and threatening the balance of power in Europe. Britain watched with growing concern. Then, on September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain declared war on Germany. The Second World War had begun. Once again, the United States initially stayed out of the conflict. Many Americans believed their country should avoid another European war. But President Franklin D. Roosevelt understood that Britain's survival was critical. If Britain fell, Nazi Germany could dominate Europe. Roosevelt found ways to support Britain without directly entering the war. One of the most important was the Lend-Lease program. Through this initiative, the United States supplied Britain with food, aircraft, tanks, ammunition, ships, and billions of dollars worth of military equipment. These supplies became a lifeline. During the Battle of Britain in 1940, the Royal Air Force defended the skies against relentless German bombing campaigns. British cities suffered devastating air raids known as the Blitz. Night after night, bombs fell on London and other cities. Homes were destroyed. Factories burned. Thousands of civilians lost their lives. Yet Britain refused to surrender. Prime Minister Winston Churchill became the symbol of that determination. His speeches inspired not only the British people, but also millions around the world. Churchill understood that Britain's future depended heavily on American support. He developed a close friendship with President Roosevelt. Their conversations were frequent, honest, and strategic. Although separated by an ocean, the two leaders shared a common goal: stopping Nazi Germany. Then history changed forever. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The surprise attack killed more than 2,000 American service members. The following day, the United States declared war on Japan. Soon afterward, Germany declared war on the United States. America was now fully involved in the Second World War. From that moment, the partnership between Britain and the United States became stronger than ever before. Military commanders coordinated operations. Scientists shared research. Factories worked around the clock. Intelligence agencies exchanged secret information. Together, the two nations built one of the most powerful military alliances the world had ever seen. One of their greatest achievements came on June 6, 1944. Known as D-Day, Allied forces launched the largest amphibious invasion in history. More than 150,000 soldiers crossed the English Channel and landed on the beaches of Normandy in France. British, American, Canadian, and other Allied troops fought together under incredibly dangerous conditions. Many never returned home, but their sacrifice opened the path toward liberating Western Europe from Nazi occupation. Less than a year later, Germany surrendered. Victory in Europe had been achieved. The cooperation between Britain and America had helped defeat one of history's most dangerous dictatorships. But another challenge was already emerging. The Soviet Union, once an ally against Nazi Germany, quickly became a geopolitical rival. Its communist government expanded influence across Eastern Europe. The world entered a new era known as the Cold War. Unlike the previous world wars, this conflict was defined by political rivalry, nuclear weapons, espionage, and ideological competition rather than direct battles between the two superpowers. During this period, the phrase, "the special relationship," became famous. In 1946, Winston Churchill delivered a historic speech in Fulton, Missouri. He spoke about the growing divide in Europe and warned that an Iron Curtain had descended across the continent. Churchill argued that Britain and the United States must remain united to defend freedom, democracy, and international stability. His speech introduced the expression, "the special relationship," to a global audience. It wasn't simply about military cooperation. It represented shared values, mutual trust, intelligence sharing, economic partnerships, and a commitment to facing global challenges together. From that point forward, the phrase became part of international politics. It described an alliance unlike any other. British and American intelligence agencies strengthened their cooperation. Scientists collaborated on nuclear research. Military leaders coordinated defense planning. Both countries became founding members of NATO in 1949, promising that an attack on one member would be treated as an attack on all. This alliance helped prevent direct conflict between the Western powers and the Soviet Union for decades. The world had entered the nuclear age, where cooperation between trusted allies became more important than ever before. The friendship that had begun with cautious diplomacy, after centuries of conflict, had evolved into one of the strongest strategic partnerships in modern history. But history never stands still. The decades ahead would test this relationship in entirely new ways through conflicts in Korea, Vietnam, the Falklands, the Gulf War, Afghanistan, Iraq, terrorism, cybersecurity, and the rise of new global powers. Could the special relationship survive the challenges of the modern world? The Cold War transformed the relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States into something far greater than a diplomatic partnership. It became a long-term strategic alliance built on trust, intelligence, military cooperation, and shared political values. But even the strongest friendships faced difficult moments. The decades after the Second World War would prove that the special relationship was not always perfect. There were disagreements, misunderstandings, and political differences. Yet time and again, both nations found reasons to work together because they believed that cooperation was more valuable than conflict. The first major test came in the early 1950s. Communist forces from North Korea invaded South Korea, triggering the Korean War. The United Nations responded by organizing a multinational force led largely by the United States. Britain quickly joined the mission. British and American troops once again fought alongside each other, defending South Korea against communist expansion. The war was long, difficult, and costly, ending in 1953 without a formal peace treaty, although the border remained divided. The conflict demonstrated that Britain and America were prepared to stand together in defense of their allies. As the Cold War intensified, another challenge emerged. The Soviet Union and the United States entered a dangerous nuclear arms race. Both nations developed increasingly powerful nuclear weapons capable of destroying entire cities within minutes. The possibility of nuclear war became one of humanity's greatest fears. Britain decided to develop its own independent nuclear deterrent, but relied heavily on American scientific cooperation and technology. Over time, the two countries built one of the closest defense partnerships in the world. Military exercises became routine. Naval forces coordinated operations across the Atlantic. Air forces trained together. Scientists collaborated on advanced defense systems. Intelligence agencies expanded their cooperation to levels never seen before. One of the most important aspects of this partnership remained hidden from the public. Intelligence sharing. British intelligence agency MI6 and America's CIA worked closely to gather information on Soviet military activities, spy networks, and international security threats. Their cooperation often prevented crises before they became public. Even today, intelligence sharing remains one of the strongest foundations of the special relationship. Another major milestone came through the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. This unique partnership includes the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. These countries share highly sensitive intelligence information, helping combat terrorism, cybercrime, espionage, and organized crime around the world. Very few international partnerships operate with this level of trust. However, not every chapter of the relationship was smooth. In 1956, Britain, France, and Israel launched a military operation against Egypt after President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal. Britain expected American support. Instead, President Dwight Eisenhower strongly opposed the invasion. The United States believed the operation would increase tensions during the Cold War and damage Western credibility. Facing intense American political and economic pressure, Britain withdrew its forces. The Suez Crisis became one of the most difficult moments in the special relationship. Many British leaders realized that Britain could no longer act as a global superpower without considering America's position. Although the crisis created disappointment, it did not destroy the partnership. Instead, both governments learned the importance of closer consultation before making major international decisions. As the decades passed, Britain and America continued working together across many areas beyond defense. Trade expanded dramatically. Universities exchanged students and researchers. Businesses invested billions of dollars across both economies. Hollywood films became popular throughout Britain. British music conquered America. Bands like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Queen, and later many other British artists became international sensations. Meanwhile, American movies, television shows, technology, and consumer culture influenced everyday life in Britain. The relationship was no longer limited to politicians and soldiers. It had become part of daily life for millions of ordinary people. Then came another defining moment. On November 9, 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. Within 2 years, the Soviet Union collapsed. The Cold War was over. Many people believed the special relationship might lose its purpose because the common Soviet threat had disappeared. Instead, new challenges quickly emerged. In 1990, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein invaded neighboring Kuwait. The United States organized a large international coalition to reverse the invasion. Britain immediately became one of America's closest military partners. The Gulf War demonstrated that even after the Cold War, the alliance remained strong. The coalition successfully liberated Kuwait in early 1991. The world entered a new era filled with optimism. Global trade increased. Technology advanced rapidly. The internet connected people across continents. Both Britain and America became leaders in finance, education, innovation, and scientific research. But peace would not last. On the morning of September 11, 2001, the world changed forever. 19 terrorists hijacked 4 passenger airplanes in the United States. 2 planes struck the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York. Another hit the Pentagon. A 4th crashed in Pennsylvania after passengers fought back. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. The attacks shocked the entire world. Within hours, British Prime Minister Tony Blair expressed complete solidarity with the United States. For the first time in NATO's history, Article 5 was activated. An attack against one member was considered an attack against all. Britain joined the United States in military operations against al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan. British and American soldiers served together for nearly 2 decades. The mission aimed to eliminate terrorist networks and prevent Afghanistan from becoming a safe haven for future attacks. In 2003, another major decision tested the alliance. The United States, supported by Britain and several other countries, invaded Iraq. The stated objective was to remove Saddam Hussein's government, which was believed to possess weapons of mass destruction. However, no active stockpiles of those weapons were found after the invasion. The war became highly controversial. Both governments faced strong criticism from many citizens, international organizations, and political leaders. For some people, Iraq represented one of the most difficult chapters in the special relationship. It showed that close allies can make decisions that remain debated for many years. Yet, despite public disagreement, cooperation between Britain and America continued in many other areas. The 2 countries worked together on counterterrorism operations, financial intelligence, cybersecurity, scientific research, space exploration, medical innovation, climate research, artificial intelligence, global health initiatives. During the COVID-19 pandemic, scientists, researchers, and pharmaceutical companies from both countries collaborated on vaccines, treatments, and medical research at an unprecedented speed. The partnership expanded far beyond military matters. Technology companies from Silicon Valley invested heavily in Britain. British financial institutions strengthened their presence in New York. Universities such as Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, and MIT collaborated on research projects influencing medicine, engineering, artificial intelligence, and environmental science. The economic connection became one of the largest bilateral investment relationships in the world. Millions of jobs depend directly or indirectly on business between the 2 nations. Meanwhile, cultural ties became even stronger. British actors starred in Hollywood blockbusters. American streaming services became household names across Britain. Sports gained international audiences. Tourism flourished. Every year, millions of people crossed the Atlantic for education, business, family visits, and vacations. The relationship had evolved into something much broader than politics. It had become a partnership connecting governments, businesses, universities, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, and ordinary citizens. Still, the 21st century introduced entirely new challenges. Cyber attacks replaced traditional espionage. Artificial intelligence created new opportunities and new risks. Climate change demanded international cooperation. China emerged as a major economic and strategic competitor. Russia once again became a significant security concern following events in Eastern Europe. These challenges required Britain and America to adapt their partnership once again. The question was no longer whether they could win another world war. The question was whether they could successfully navigate an increasingly complex and unpredictable world. And that brings us to the final chapter of our story. As we reach the final chapter of this incredible story, one important question remains. After more than a century of cooperation, 2 world wars, the Cold War, the fight against terrorism, and countless global crises, is the special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States still as strong as it once was? The answer is both simple and complex. Yes, the partnership remains one of the closest alliances in the world, but like every long-lasting relationship, it continues to evolve. The world of the 21st century is very different from the world Winston Churchill knew in 1946. Today, the greatest threats are not always invading armies or massive naval battles. Instead, nations face cyber attacks, artificial intelligence, misinformation, climate change, global pandemics, energy security, and economic competition. These new challenges require new forms of cooperation every single day. British and American intelligence agencies exchange information that helps prevent terrorist attacks, cybercrime, and international espionage. Military forces continue training together across land, sea, air, and space. Scientists collaborate on groundbreaking medical research. Engineers develop advanced technologies. Businesses invest billions of dollars in each other's economies. Universities educate students from both nations, creating future leaders who understand each other's cultures and values. This partnership is no longer limited to presidents and prime ministers. It reaches into classrooms, laboratories, hospitals, technology companies, financial markets, and even the smartphones we use every day. Of course, disagreements still happen. Different governments often have different priorities. Leaders change. Political parties change. Economic policies change. Sometimes Britain and America take different approaches to international issues. That is completely normal. Strong allies do not need to agree on everything. What matters is whether they continue talking, cooperating, and finding common solutions when the world faces uncertainty. History has repeatedly shown that they do. One of the biggest changes in recent years has been Britain's decision to leave the European Union. Brexit created new opportunities and new challenges for British foreign policy. Some experts wondered whether Britain's relationship with America would become even closer, while others believed new trade negotiations would be more complicated. Although opinions differed, one fact remained unchanged. Security cooperation continued without interruption. Intelligence sharing remained strong. Military partnerships expanded. Diplomatic communication continued at the highest levels. The foundation of the special relationship proved stronger than political headlines. Another major challenge is the rapid rise of artificial intelligence. AI has the power to transform healthcare, education, transportation, business, and national security. Britain and America are among the world's leading innovators in artificial intelligence research. At the same time, both governments recognize the importance of creating rules that encourage innovation while reducing risks. Their cooperation in technology could shape how future generations live and work. Climate change presents another shared challenge. Extreme weather events, rising sea levels, energy transitions, and environmental protection require international cooperation. Neither Britain nor America can solve these problems alone. Working together allows them to develop cleaner technologies, improve renewable energy systems, and support global efforts to reduce emissions. The future of the special relationship will not be decided only by military alliances. It will also depend on scientific discovery, economic innovation, environmental responsibility, and technological leadership. Meanwhile, global competition continues to increase. China's growing economic influence, ongoing tensions with Russia, cybersecurity threats, and instability in different regions remind both countries that international cooperation remains essential. In an increasingly connected world, isolation is no longer a realistic option. Partnerships matter more than ever. Perhaps the greatest strength of the special relationship is not military power or economic wealth. It is trust. Trust cannot be built overnight. It is earned through decades of shared experiences. It grows when countries stand together during difficult times. It becomes stronger when promises are kept. The United Kingdom and the United States have experienced victories together. They have experienced failures together. They have celebrated together. They have mourned together. From the beaches of Normandy to the streets of New York after September 11, from scientific laboratories developing life, saving medicines to intelligence officers preventing terrorist attacks, from humanitarian aid after natural disasters to international peacekeeping missions. The story of this partnership continues to evolve. Will the special relationship remain exactly the same over the next 50 years? Probably not. History teaches us that no relationship remains unchanged forever. New generations will face new challenges. New technologies will reshape societies. New world powers will emerge. Global priorities will continue changing. But if history offers any lesson, it is this nations connected by shared values, mutual respect, democratic institutions, and decades of cooperation possess a remarkable ability to adapt. That is exactly what Britain and America have done for more than 100 years. The special relationship is not simply about governments signing agreements. It is about people. Millions of families with relatives on both sides of the Atlantic, students studying abroad, scientists making discoveries together, entrepreneurs creating new businesses, soldiers protecting peace, teachers educating future generations, artists, musicians, actors, writers, engineers, doctors, and innovators who continue building connections every single day. Perhaps that is the real meaning of the special relationship. Not perfection, not permanent agreement, but an enduring commitment to work together, especially when the world needs leadership the most. And maybe that is why this partnership has survived revolutions, world wars, economic crises, political disagreements, and technological revolutions, because it has never depended on one leader or one generation. It has depended on shared purpose as we look toward the future. Only time will tell how this remarkable alliance continues to evolve. But one thing is certain. The story of the United Kingdom and the United States is far from over. Every new generation will write the next chapter. And perhaps decades from now, historians will look back on our own time as another important turning point in one of the most influential international partnerships the world has ever known. Thank you so much for watching this video from beginning to end. I truly hope you enjoyed this journey through the history and importance of the UK-USA special relationship. If you learned something new today, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, family, and anyone who loves history, politics, or world affairs. If you want more fascinating stories about world history, powerful nations, famous leaders, and the events that shaped our world, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upcoming video. Your support helps this channel continue creating high-quality content for history lovers around the world. Thank you for watching, stay curious, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!